This morning, I was texting during Bruce Boulogn's devotional. I texted to, I believe, Terry Franson and said, what a joy that I get to hear Bruce Boulogn. And it's really special. It spoke to my soul. As I walked out, I put a tie on. I actually thought Bruce would be wearing a tie today, but since he's not, I'm going to leave this for Bruce to help his wardrobe. But as I walked across the campus, I was reminded of telling many people across the nation in speeches that this is one of the finest academic institutions in America. I looked at the flower gardens and I couldn't help but think of Tom Wallace and really whole person development that goes on here. The institution is a systematic response to a recurring need. And the recurring need of our young men and women today is to find themselves, to wrestle with the deeper questions of life. And all of you here that teach help David Riggs to do that. David Riggs has strong, requisite intellectual capacity that is far beyond what I'll ever have. And David, you handle that with humility. I think you've learned that over the years. God's blessed you. Measure a man is what he does when he's alone, and it's manifest when he's not. And often David spends long hours alone. He's mastered a couple languages. He's sought after by a lot of different groups for research. But when he's in public, he speaks very rarely in committees, so it's hard to believe he's my student. But I will tell you this, when he speaks, people listen. And he's developed a program that is second to none, really, in the United States, I believe, for the student experience. The dream needs to be stronger than the struggle, and David has had some dreams, and he's had a long journey through Princeton and Oxford, and he has survived, and he's been able to balance family, and he's done very well. I believe if you try to make an impression, that's the impression you'll make. And you know, coming out of Oxford to the cornfields of Indiana, you have to really be careful, and David has walked humbly among my peers, and that has won him respect through the years. Some of you know him through his football years. He was an academic All-American. His last two catches actually were against UC Santa Barbara for touchdowns on TV. What a way to end your career. And, we actually met in the weight room. And David, he's a shadow of himself now, but he had this very large chest. Coach Mill, how do you remember? And we were talking, and I found out he was actually rejected when he applied to school because he basically bombed high school. And I don't think I'm overstating that. But he grew up in Laguna Beach, so I'm not sure many people did well there. But so I heard that, and then he shows up in the hardest class I taught. I was straight out of grad school. And I required 16 books. They nicknamed me, instead of Dr. Pattingale, some of you know Dr. Pass or Fail. I started with 20 students. I think we had 8 by the second week. I gave a test with 185 questions, and David had over 90% of them correct, and the next highest score was barely 70%. Stephanie, I don't believe you were in that class. And I guess she would have been up there with David. And I never told David, but I thought he cheated. Oh. There's no way a student who basically bombed out of high school could have done that well. And so I gave another test shortly thereafter. It was essay. David was in the 90% range, and the next highest was about 70%. The only time in 20-some years of teaching I pulled a student file to see their SAT score, and it was very high. Something happened in a young person here through chapels, through the programming, that he found himself, he was turned on to the bigger questions. And what a joy to teach such a person. What a joy. I've had the privilege of watching his kids grow, and he married very well. And Laura is CPA, and God helped them to find their way to Oxford, and she actually had a wonderful job there, and she's very intelligent herself. He is so sold out on patristics and teaching of patristics and Roman North African paganism and just the whole study of classics. And they named their 4 children: Patrick, Augustine, Emmanuel, Christian, Nicholas Tertullian, Catherine Alexandria Perpetua, Faith Bridget Felicita. and their wonderful children. And I defer my remaining minutes to Jim Milhan. David Riggs, would you please come?
Thanks, Jerry, for those kind words, and thanks to the Alumni Office for this award. I should point out that those 2 touchdown catches at the end of my career were the only 2 touchdowns that I had during my 4 years. But when I show my kids the film, I just tell them it was the same kind of game I had my entire career. I also won't share about the weight room experiences with Jerry, because we all know that he always tried to lift more than he should. He bounced it off that chest in ways that I don't know how he's kept his strength in place. I should point out too, I did graduate from high school, so I may not have done well, but Jerry is absolutely right. I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to express my gratitude publicly for the profound role that this university community played in helping me to discern God's call on my life and in preparing me to pursue that call. With a level of dedication and commitment to excellence that was just unthinkable before my time at APU. As Jerry said, when I first applied to Azusa, I was rejected. And I don't know what all happened behind the scenes, but I know after Coach Milhan visited my high school and we talked that somehow I did get accepted under provisional academic standing. Graduating from high school, I had passions that were not rooted in academics. It was football, it was my beautiful girlfriend, who's now my wife. And college was seen as just a means to an end, a means to getting a job that paid well. And through classes with professors like David Weeks, Sheldon Jackson, Joe Anderson, Chris Flannery, there was inspired within me a love of learning that my public education before that just, quite frankly, had not. And it was through faculty-mentor relationships with professors like Jerry Pattengill that drew me into this excitement and joy and profit of research and writing, and modeled for me the breadth and depths of what an academic vocation could look like in terms of changing students' lives and making an impact on the larger academy. So I stand here feeling very indebted to what this academic community has meant to me in terms of setting me on a trajectory in life and career that's allowed me to live life abundantly in Christ, that's allowed me to put God first in ways that I never imagined possible until I came here and had my imagination broadened and brought to life in ways that I'll appreciate the rest of my life. I do, before I get down, do need to thank, as Jerry said, my wife, who when we came here as high school graduates did not know that this was not going to be the beginning of 4 years of school, but many, many more than 4 years, and has come along for the ride, attentive to the Spirit each step of the way, and has been that source of encouragement and love, that healthy dose of reality when I need it, and a great wife and mother and sister in Christ. And so I want to make sure that I give her my thanks. Thanks to my sister-in-law for being here as well. Thank you.